The doodles charged out of the park and back to the road. The rain was still beating down, plastering their hair against their heads. It was so dark and wet that all the cars driving past had their headlights on and their windscreen wipers wiping from side to side. Kirsty then ran along the way home. Kirsty pointed ahead. "Let's shelter in there," she cried. Rachel blinked, the raindrops from her eyelashes, as she followed her friend up the path with a large red brick building. "Weatherbury Museum," she read on a small blue sign. Kirsty put the double doors open, and she and Rachel tumbled inside. Water dripped onto the doormat as Rachel shook her sodden hair back from her face. "Phew," she whistled. "Talk about stormy weather." Kirsty was looking thoughtful. "It must be the goblin with the lightning feather who is behind this," she said. "He has to be close by, don't you think?" "Definitely," Rachel agreed. I Before she could say anything else, she was interrupted by a deafening roar. Rachel clutched Kirsty's arm. "What was that?" she whispered. Kirsty giggled at the friend's alarmed face. "I should have warned you. There's a dinosaur display in here," she said. "Some dinosaur bones were found in Weatherbury years and years ago. The museum has an enormous model of how the dinosaur would have looked. It roars and moves. Come on, I show you." Kirsty pushed open another set of double doors that led into one of the museum galleries. A group of people were being shown around by a tour guide. Kirsty pointed to an enormous model dinosaur. Rachel stared at the long neck, broad body, and huge tail of the model. The dinosaur was standing in water that was clearly supposed to represent a river. Spiky rubber fish floated around in its feet. "Wow," she exclaimed. Kirsty grinned. "Watch this," she said, and pressed a big red button. The dinosaur leaned down and opened its jaws. It snapped up one of the peculiar-looking fish, then lifted up its head so that the fish tumbled down into its belly. "That is brilliant," Rachel said, laughing. "What happens if you press this blue button here?" "Roar." "That's what happens," Kirsty giggled. The dinosaur roar faded. Rachel could not help overhearing the tour guide. "Listen," she hissed to Kirsty. "Don't know where this fairy exhibit has come from," the guide was saying in a puzzled voice. She shrugged. "I've just came back from my holiday, and it must be a new display. Maybe somebody discovered that fairies were around the same time as the dinosaurs." The group laughed politely. "Anyway, let's move on to the natural history room," she said. "It's just through here."
Yes.
Rachel and Kirsty crept to the back of the tour group to look at the fairy exhibit. If they stood on tiptoes, they could just see over all the heads to one of the display cases. There seemed to be a tiny shape in there, but they could not quite make out what it was. As the group followed the tour guide out of the room, there was another loud growl of thunder, and the girls saw a dazzling flash of lightning at the windows. Once again, the sky seemed to glitter with a stream of dancing silver sparkles. Then all the lights went out inside the museum. Oh dear, it's a power trap, the guide said in dismay as the tour group gasped. Follow me, everyone. I think we have some torches in a cupboard through here. Rachel and Kirsty waited until the group had left the room, then went to take a closer look at the display case. There inside was a real fairy, glowing with magic, and she was waving frantically at them.